This video is going to introduce you to slope, and it's going to start with the easiest form of finding slope. We're going to look at it in reference to a graph. We're going to start out with what is slope basically. Slope is a number, and it's going to tell you the direction, whether it be positive or negative, and the steepness of a line. So if the line's very steep, the number will be large. If the line is almost flat, it will be a very small number written as a fraction. It's also known as a ratio to the vertical change, how far up and down the line is moving, to the horizontal change towards the right. I'm going to give you one strategy for determining if the slope is positive, negative, zero, or undefined. And this little trick is called Slope Man. So I'm going to draw in 4 lines real quick up in the area where the eyes would be. I'm going to draw 2 lines going like this. I'm going to draw 1 line going down for the nose, and I'm going to draw 1 line going straight across for the mouth. So that kind of represents a face. Now I'm going to go back through, and I'm going to talk about what each one of these lines represents. This line we just drew for the mouth going this way is flat. I kind of like to think about this as a treadmill. If I was standing here walking on it, the incline would be 0 on my treadmill. So when you have a line that's going in that direction, the slope would be 0. So I'm going to put 2 zeros at the end of the mouth. Then the nose that's in the center, if this line is going up and down like this, if my treadmill was doing that, that would be basically impossible for me to walk up and down it. And in terms of slope of a line, we're going to call that undefined. And that starts with a U, so I'm going to put a letter U underneath the nose. So now it kind of represents more of the face. When you look over at the left side, this line going up, again, if I was like a little guy standing here and this was the incline of my treadmill, it would be positive and I would be going up. So I'm going to put a positive sign underneath this eye. Then what we have left is just the opposite. If I was on this side of the line and I was a little guy standing here, I would be rolling down a hill or I would be hiking down a mountain. My treadmill wouldn't be too good this way, but I'm definitely going down. So I'm going to put a little negative sign underneath this eye. So one more time to reference, if your line is going straight and flat, I'm going to back that up. If my line is going straight and flat, like the mouth, that's going to be 0. If my line is going up and down, straight up and down, that's undefined. If my line is slanting upwards, that's going to be a positive slope. When my line is slanting down, it's going to be negative slope. Okay, we've got 4 pictures now that actually have numbers in them. They actually have dots on lines. So here's 4 picture representations that can show you how lines are going in a graph. We've got the positive still slanting upwards. They've used the coordinates for the dots A and B. Then we have the line going down. They have the coordinates for those. The line that's going flat, showing you have a 0 slope, have the coordinates for those 2 dots. And then the up and down line, undefined, put in the coordinates and get this. You will notice that if I were to type this into a calculator and I tried to do 3 divided by 0, your calculator would say error because that's not possible. However, on the 0 slope, I could type in my calculator 0 divided by 4, and it would tell me the answer was 0. Okay, a couple steps when calculating the actual slope of a line. First thing is you can tell real quick if it's positive or negative based off of that Slope Man representation that we had. Then once you know if it's positive or negative, you can pick 2 spots on the line. You want to make sure those are meeting in a corner. We'll talk about that in a second. After you have your 2 dots, if you will draw them to form a right triangle, you'll see the straight line going up and down and sideways. You're going to count how far it went up and down. That's the vertical change, which would be called the rise. Then you're going to count the change going sideways, and we want this to always be going to the right. That's going to be labeled as run. Once you know these two amounts, you're going to put it into a fraction. The rise number goes on top, the run number goes on bottom, and this will be your slope. All right, here's two examples. The first one, when you look at this line, it is going this direction. So in my slope man, that was positive. Or if you want, you could draw a little guy standing over here. And you can tell if he's about to go up or down. Not really sure why my pen's not writing good in that space. But here's my little guy. If he's going to be walking, he's going up. So definitely positive slope. So I can go ahead and circle that. I'm going to zoom in on this one real quick. Okay. When you look at this line, here's a spot where the line meets perfectly in a corner. If I keep traveling up the line, this is not in a corner, so I wouldn't be able to put a dot there. But as I keep traveling, I'll find one that's in a corner, not in a corner. In a corner, not in a corner. In a corner. So I'm going to take these two that's already been placed. If you're doing this on your own and there was no dot, then you would have to certainly draw your own. Alright, if I draw in my own, it looks like I'm going to go up and then sideways. I went up one space, and then I went sideways 2 spaces. I'm going to say the rise is 1. And the run was 2. So now I'd put that together. I've already identified that the answer is going to be positive because the way the line was slanted. And then I put my numbers I got from the graph together. And I would say my slope was positive 1/2. I'm going to scoot over to the second one. Again, I'm going to identify first if it's going to be positive or negative. This line happens to be going this direction. If you think back to the slope man, that had a negative line underneath it. If you wanted to draw your own little guy, he would be up here like this. He's going down. So I'm going to circle that it's a negative slope for sure. I've got 2 dots already identified for me. One here. I'm not going to do that one just because they didn't put it in the spot for me. I'm going to use the one they have. But if you see that it's meeting in every corner, you can pick any ones you want. Okie dokie. This is going to go down 2, sideways 2, down 2, sideways 2. My iPad does not like that corner. Try this one more time. Down 2, sideways 2. Okay, I'm going to move this to the side again. Yay. My rise was 2. And the run was 2. And I can actually simplify this one. If you can simplify it to be a whole number only, a whole number, then go ahead and do it. If it's not going to be a perfect whole number, you leave it as a fraction, even if it was an improper fraction. We're coming down here to the bottom. We've already circled negative, so I have to make sure I put that in my answer. The final slope of this would be -1. Final slope, -1. Alrighty, here's 2 more. The one on the left, I'm going to take a look at how the line's going. Looks like it's going in this path. Slope man had that as a positive. If you would rather draw your own little guy down here, traveling up the line, that tells me for sure my answer needs to have a positive sign in it, or it needs to be positive. Then as you go up the line, they've got 2 dots. They're really far away. One's right here. And then as you keep traveling up, it looks like maybe right there, but not exactly. Then I keep going, keep going, keep going. They put their other dot way up here. So I'm going to connect those, and then I'm going to count how far. I totally don't want the same color. So let's get a different one. I'm going to connect them that way because it's just easy for me to see. Okay, if I count these boxes going up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have a rise of 8 and a run of 3. So over here, I'm going to say rise 8, run 3. This fraction cannot be simplified because it would make it improper, and we want it to either be a fraction or a whole number. So I'm just going to leave this 8/3. And it's positive, so I'm just going to keep it 8/3. Alrighty, last one. Take a look at the way the line is slanted. Looks like it's going this way. Slope man had a negative line under it. If you like drawing your own little dude, skating down a hill, skiing down a mountain, whatever you like to say for that. Now I know it's going to be negative in my answer. The 2 dots have been picked for me. Okay, got one right here. Keep traveling down to find the next path in the corner. Boom. Then I need to connect them. Down. Then sideways. Looks like when I went down, it was 1, 2, 3, and then sideways 2. So we got 3/2. 3 sideways. 3 down, 2 sideways. So we have rise 3, run 2. We've already said previously that the slope had to be negative, so I would say my final answer was negative 3/2. And again, this cannot be simplified to be a perfect whole number, so I'm just going to leave it as 3/2 and keep it in fraction form.